Like anybody, we have this big vision and big dream. We want to build this studio. We'll start small. We have an office space. We have the back spot. We have videos online where you can see that it's not built, and then in the future videos it's built.
Did you have a goal of building your own studio before you made your first feature film?
Was it before? It was probably after. I think it's something that developed, and we coined like Florida like Jollywood. Like we wanted to create, Jollywood and create films in Florida, and we did. We were making films, and we had a studio, renting an office with a cyc wall in the back and lights and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, that was the goal. But I think the biggest thing and why it didn't work out was because we didn't have the capital. Like we weren't built up. We weren't built up enough. Like we were trying to start from the ground up with no capital. We were just like bootstrapping it. We were creating these films, put them on Amazon. So we had like two TV shows, like 3 movies all on Amazon that were collectively making money that, were paying us, that we were paying for the studio. So we were trying to create a business doing films, paying for a studio and just kind of growing that. And that didn't quite happen the way we thought it was going to. So yeah, we ended up, just getting rid of the studio. It was during COVID, so obviously that was challenging. And then I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna do more freelance stuff. I'm actually gonna get really good at cinematography, get things under my belt, get really good, have the money, have the resources to create a studio if I ever do it again. I almost try and do it too early. I feel like that's what I think. I try to do it way too early.
How long did you have it for, you and your brother?
I think we had our studio for maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And then we started another one, and then that's when COVID happened. We had that one for about a year or 2. I slept in the studio at one point. Yeah, I lived in the studio. My apartment got flooded. I ended up living in the studio.
Oh, wow.
So I was living in the studio and showering in the studio and stuff, and going to the gym, showering there. So yeah, it's just, filmmaking.
Right. A cot in the room and
That's it. I had a full mattress.
coffee paper.
Yeah, I had a mattress in there because of a film that we shot in there. We converted one of the rooms into a bedroom for a film called Soulmates that I shot.
Oh, right. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And we already had the bed in there, so I just slept on that.
Can you tell us about the first days of starting your studio?
Yeah, it was exciting. We like anybody, we have this big vision and big dream. We want to build this studio. We'll start small. We have an office space. We have the back spot. We have videos online where you can see that it's not built, and then in the future videos it's built. We're doing these conferences, Hacking Hollywood. So we're trying to build a community in Florida. And yeah, it was exciting. I love it. I love filmmaking. It was my dream. And, we talked about going to LA, and then we're like, well, and that never happened. So let's build it in Florida. Like, we're here in Florida. So yeah, it was exciting, It was exciting. Made films, created 2 TV shows, and put them on Amazon, and just we're building a little studio. We had money coming in. It was a functional, small studio.
And so you were doing corporate videos or shooting films for other people? Where was the cash flow coming in from?
Yeah, so yeah, we were funding it. I would shoot, commercials, weddings, things like that. We made our films. We put them on Amazon. We were getting paid, so we were actually making some money at that point. That was funding the studio, but we would, make money and then put 20% away for the studio. So that's how we did it, and then we would just pay the studio fees and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of how we did it.
Did you rent out the studio to other filmmakers for their projects?
We did a couple of times. It wasn't something that we did a lot of. I don't know if I was built to be a studio owner. I don't think that's why I got into it. We probably did it a handful of times that people wanted to rent it and stuff, but we didn't get enough revenue. It wasn't enough to make sense. Sure. There's not a huge film community in Florida. It's small, so it wasn't big, and there was bigger studios that we were competing with, so it didn't quite work in that sense. But yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
When you look back at it now, what were the things that made buying your own studio a reality?
Buying my own studio reality. Yeah, I mean, you're in the office, you have the pictures, you got the studio, you walk in the morning and yeah, you walk around, you got your studio. We can, we shot Share Your Scare, I think it's on Amazon. We shot a full series in there and stuff. And yeah, I mean, we have a studio now. Like we're filmmakers. Like we can do this, we can build this. It felt real, it felt like we could do it. And we were doing it, And yeah, it was great, it was small, but we were doing it. We were hacking at the wood and knocking it down, and it was a journey.
At that point in your career, what made it possible for you and your brother to, rent this studio, create it, have the equipment?
So yeah, it goes back to when I bought my first camera when I was 22, and just started creating and building the network and building the people and the gear and things like that, and just creating projects. We created, I think before we got the studio, we created maybe like 4 different projects: House Guest, Terra Talk, 10 Seconds to Run, and then I think we had got the studio then. So yeah, we had built ourselves up. We have different films out, and we're like, let's take it to the next level. Let's get a studio.
Had you had any day jobs that you took money from that you could put into it too, or you were doing the wedding videography, which I know probably pays really well?
Yeah, so my day job was weddings
Yeah.
and commercials and just freelance gigs as a filmmaker, which we all know it's like freelance gigs. I was a server at Bubba Gump's for a while, for 8 years. As I was doing that, I was building my video business and my skill set. And yeah, it was good, yeah.
Any customers that became clients? Sometimes people ask you, like, what do you do? Oh, well, yeah, outside of here.
Yeah, not a lot of customers that became clients, but other employees, like other servers and people that I worked with. I've done a lot of their weddings and stuff.
Sure.
Now, which is kind of cool. I've done videos for them.
Actors?
They're not actors.
No.
One was an actor, and she was actually in a movie called Mile 22 with Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she did good on that, yeah.
What caution would you have for anyone who wants to start their own studio?
I would say like I said, why ours didn't work out is because we didn't have capital. So I think having the capital to back you is key, and then the right location. I think the right location, and then the backing, having capital to actually start the studio. We bootstrapped ours, paycheck to paycheck, trying to start a studio. It was pretty challenging. So having the capital, maybe have a financial partner that's backing you, which we did not have.
Right. Well, not everybody comes from that. I mean, a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. Do you think that also COVID, you said, maybe took you out?
Yeah, COVID made it challenging because obviously that kind of took the world by storm when COVID happened. So that didn't help. And we kind of we opened one of our studios during COVID. So that was challenging. And we thought we were going to rent out the offices to other filmmakers. And obviously COVID happened, so nobody was probably making money at the time. So yeah, it just didn't work out well. We had 7 offices that weren't rented out. So,
right.
Yeah.
You mentioned not having enough capital for starting the business, your production company with your brother. Can you go into details what that means, not enough capital?
Yeah, meaning you don't have any money put away. You don't have an investor. So say we want to start a studio, but we don't have $100,000. We're paycheck to paycheck. So one of our studios that we had, we went in and the place had old carpet. It needed to be repainted. And then we negotiated with the guy yo, give us 6 months free, pay for the material, we'll fix everything up, but we'll be to use the studio. So our thing is all right, let's get it done in 3 months, and then we have 3 months rent free. So we can start building it. And that's what we did. We were in there ripping out all the carpets ourselves. We put all the wood floors down. So when I first met Jada, me and my brother were putting all the wood floors down, painted everything. Like we were excited, we were gonna rent out all the rooms and stuff. We had 7 different rooms. So filmmakers could rent the room out, say $300 a month, $400 a month, and they get access to the back wall, the psych wall, they get access to the lights, you know, the facility, things like that. So I think not having enough capital in the bank, in reserves, and trying to do a studio like that with not a huge market. We weren't in LA, we were in Florida. So, and then COVID. So yeah, maybe if we had more reserves, we could have did more, we could have did more advertising and things like that. And then kind of like got through COVID if we had money. So I think that's the biggest thing. Come in with somebody who also wants to start a studio, who has money. That's what I would say.
Sure. But then you're adding a third person with their own mindset, their own issues, their own desires for it. So it was just you and your brother, and sometimes keeping something small is better.
Yeah, and even that brings its own challenges when you're working with family and different friends and different partners, so it's all gonna have its challenges. You know, it's no different than an investor putting into your movie. If somebody puts up $1 million for your movie, they're gonna have some say. There's gonna be things that they want, because we've had that. So anybody that puts up money for a project is gonna want to say something about the project. So I feel like you gotta be willing to bend a little bit for certain things, especially if somebody's kind of flipping the bill for it.